Hi, I'm Shashank Bhargava, and you're listening to Three Things, the Indian Express news show. In this episode, we talk about how Imran Khan managed not to get voted out of power on Sunday. We also talk about another hate speech-filled event that Yati Narsinghanand took part in. But first, we talk about communal tensions in Karnataka. A number of right-wing groups in the state like the Vishwa Hindu Parishad, Bajrang Dal and Sri Ramasena have been trying to ban Muslim vendors from putting up stalls during temple fairs which are held in villages across Karnataka. After the recent hijab controversy, this has once again led to things becoming communally tense in the state. Now, before we talk about this latest controversy, let us first talk about temple fairs. Temple fairs are held between the months of November and April, the period in which agricultural activities in the state have slowed down. And these temple fairs, depending on which part of the state they are taking place in, could have elaborate markets, dance theatres, cattle races, and other kinds of cultural events. When we spoke to Kiran Parashar, who reports on Karnataka for the Indian Express, he told us that temple fairs are an important part of a region's identity, and they can mean a lot to the local people.
Today, if we see in the urban society, we go for trips or we go for trekking, we go for amusement parks, we go for malls, for our recreation or for entertainment. So these fairs are source of entertainment for villagers for many generations.
So these temple fairs are where a lot of people would go for family outings and getaways. And they were helpful as well. Because Kiran says that up until the 1960s or even 70s, there weren't that many shops that would sell small items, like bangles for example. But shops for such things would be there at the temple fairs. And people still sometimes save up money throughout the year to shop at these places. And despite the fact that these are called temple fairs, people from across communities and religions attend them. Kiran says that they only represent a particular region and not a religion.
One of the teachers that I spoke to, she told me that when she was a kid, she used to save a lot of money only to buy these bangles and other things during fair. This retired English teacher is Shaili Prabhakar. She belongs to a Christian community. She always participated in Sri Channakeshava Temple Fair, which is usually held in Sulya. She even remembers till date that she went to those fairs. She bought a lot of bangles and everything. And just like her, there were many people in her village who belonged to various communities who were equally excited when there was temple fair.
Kiran says that these fairs also become a part of people's cultural identity. This is why he says that a few days back, the former State Chief Minister Siddaramaiah was seen performing Veera Kunita, which is a traditional folk dance from Karnataka, during a temple fair in his native village.
That is his identity, basically. So even if you are in any urban area, or even if you are a minister, bureaucrat, whoever you are, when there is a fair, you go back to your roots and celebrate your identity. And very recently, on some Friday, the session was happening, and Karnataka Assembly Speaker Vishweshwara Hegde Kageri, he himself sought time to go back to his hometown and to celebrate a temple fair, and he invited other assembly members also. So the fair is something like a festival of a specific region where they showcase their culture and which is their identity. And across communities participate in these temple fairs because it represents a region than a religion of that region.
But now, religion is being dragged into it. Like earlier mentioned, right-wing organizations have been trying to stop Muslim vendors from putting up stalls at temple fairs. And for doing this, they are citing something that the Congress party had done around 20 years ago.
So the Congress state government in 2002 had passed a rule stating that no property including land, building or sites situated near the premises of the temples shall be leased to non-Hindus. Though the rule was made by the Congress government led by Chief Minister S.M. Krishna then, the rule was never implemented. Very recently, it came to prominence after BJP government came into power in Karnataka. The first communal incident that we came across was the hijab row. After that, Karnataka High Court passed an order saying that whatever the state government guidelines are there on the uniform, the Karnataka High Court upheld it. So the Muslims who were not happy with the Karnataka High Court verdict, which also bans hijab wearing students to the college or school. So to mark their protest, many Muslim vendors across the state observed a day bandh against Karnataka High Court's verdict over hijab.
And this, Kiran says, is something that the right-wing organizations did not like. So they started putting pressure on temple authorities to ban Muslim vendors from temple fairs. And to do this, they cited the 2002 order, which was passed by the Congress state government.
So some of the temples fell in line because of the pressure of that specific area, and some of them defied. But when I spoke to few of the VHP leaders and few of the right-wing leaders, they said that it was much before hijab. This thing was already in plan, because what happened was in October 2021, in a place called Gangoli in Kundapura region of Udupi district in the coastal area, Muslims stopped buying fish from fish vendors and other people, prominently Hindus, participated in a protest march against illegal cow slaughter.
So right-wing organizations now claim that they are pushing for this blockade in retaliation to the protest that some people in the Muslim community had done back in October.
So by announcing these kind of economic blockade based on the religion, he is now penetrating the rural areas of Karnataka. So the entire social fabric at the grassroots level is at stake, potentially is disturbed now with this Hindu-Muslim thing being introduced in the local fairs. For example, if you see in Bappanadu Sri Durga Parameshwari temple, which is in the coastal area, the temple is believed to be built with the help of a Muslim merchant. So in that place, the Muslim vendors did not participate in the temple fair because they did not want to get into any kind of trouble or put the entire fair into risk. When I spoke to the temple authorities, they said that they did not object any of the Muslim vendors to participate in that, but they admitted that there was pressure from right-wing groups to boycott all the Muslim vendors.
And this is a place, he says, where Hindus and Muslims have traditionally celebrated the temple fairs together. But things have not played out the same way everywhere. Like in Neelamangala, a town in the outskirts of Bangalore. Kiran says that in that town, the temple authorities faced similar pressures. But despite that, they stood their ground and said that they will allow Muslim vendors to put up their stalls. A decision which also makes sense for them economically because temples also get a lot of revenue from these fairs. Meanwhile, as communal tensions rise, the ruling BJP government seems to be doing little to curb them. In fact, they are also citing the 2002 order.
So when the question was asked, the BJP government led by Chief Minister Basavaraj Bommai and the Law Minister J.C. Madhuswamy, they categorically said that there is a rule stating that non-Muslims are not allowed to install their shops in the temple premises, which was done by during Congress government, and we don't have anything to do with that. So it embraced Congress as well in Karnataka because they could not question now because the same rule was brought by their government. However, some of the BJP legislators objected to this rule. One of them is A.H. Vishwanath, who is an MLC from BJP. He said that no religion preaches you to have a exclusiveness. It always preaches you inclusiveness. So whatever this rule is, it's nothing but madness in his words. And H.D. Kumaraswamy, TDS leader H.D. Kumaraswamy also slammed the state government And he also called Basuraj Bommai as a puppet of Hindu right-wing groups, and he also sought action. If you see, also Biocon chairperson, executive chairperson Kiran Mazumdar Shaw also raised her concern with the present situation. She told Karnataka has always forged inclusive economic development and we must not allow such communal exclusion. If ITBT became communal, it would destroy our global leadership. This was the tweet of Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, and she called Bommai to resolve the growing religious divide. So these issues are really now penetrating the rural parts, and it has caused a huge concern.
And next we talk about the Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan. Khan was all set to lose the no confidence motion that was set against him on Sunday. His alliance partners had left him, all the opposition parties had come together to remove him, and most importantly, the army as well wanted him out. If voting had taken place on Sunday like it was supposed to, it would have been the first time that a Prime Minister of Pakistan would have been removed through a parliamentary process. But that did not happen. Instead, Imran Khan managed to dissolve the National Assembly. In this segment, Indian Express's National Editor of Strategic Affairs, Nirupama Subramanian, joins us to talk about how Imran Khan did this.
Amazing brinksmanship. I think this was something that no one really expected. And from what I've heard, he kept it very close to his chest, telling people only very select few that morning that this is what he's going to do. In fact, he was going to lose the vote of confidence because finally, when the opposition parties, in defiance of the dissolution of the National Assembly, they held their own session of the National Assembly. They were all present in the Assembly House and they went ahead and voted. Of course, it doesn't count for anything, but they went and voted and they were 197. So had the vote really been held, he would have been defeated. This much was very clear.
And how did he do it then? What exactly happened on Sunday?
The way he did this was, of course, as I said, he held it very, very secret. No one knew. In fact, he had told his parliamentarians, those on his side, that they should not go to the assembly in the morning on the day of the no confidence vote, which was on Sunday, April 3rd. And the rationale for this was that it would prevent cross-voting. So if there were any black sheep in that lot, which were ostensibly on his side, and they would not be able to cross-vote either. So he thought in that way ensure that the opposition did not have enough numbers. But then it must have become clear to him that this is not going to resolve any of his problems. And I think they came up with a plan overnight that this is what they were going to do. So assembly met that morning. It was clear that there were more people on the opposition side and there were not that many on his side. In any case, the plan, I think, had already been made. And as soon as the proceedings began, you had the Information Minister, Fawad Chaudhry, stand up and tell the Speaker that you must first decide on the constitutionality of this no confidence motion. And he quoted an article of the Constitution, Article 5.
मैं सिर्फ ये कहूंगा कि हम पे जो गुजरी वो गुजरी मगर है शबे हिजरा मेरे इश्क तेरी आश्क आकबत सवार चले रूलिंग इसके ऊपर आनी चाहिए स्पीकर साहब कि आर्टिकल 5 के ये मुताबिक है क्या नहीं है पहले आप इसकी कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनैलिटी तय करें फिर आगे बढ़े.
So Article 5 has two clauses. One is loyalty to the state, meaning loyalty to the state of Pakistan, and two, obedience to the constitution. So he said that he must decide the constitutionality of this no confidence motion under Article 5, Clause 1. I mean, he repeated the allegations that we had been hearing from last Sunday, in fact, when he held that mammoth rally in Islamabad, that this whole no confidence motion is a conspiracy against Pakistan by a foreign power. The whole effort to dislodge him, oust him from government through this no confidence motion is a conspiracy that has been hatched by, in fact, he named the country once in one of his speeches. He even named the country as the United States. And he said, I have threatening letter, or a threat letter as he called it, in which they are saying that if you don't remove him from office, then the US-Pakistan relations will never improve. So Fawad Chaudhry actually repeated this whole allegation on the floor of the House, and he said it is a fit case to declare as unconstitutional under Article 5 Clause 1 of the Constitution. And the Deputy Speaker was in the chair, and he almost immediately, like there was really no gap between Fawad Chaudhry's speech and the Speaker's response. He said, yes, you've raised valid concerns, and it does sound like, we can't surrender to foreign conspiracy like this, and I'm dismissing the motion and proroguing the House.
वजीर कानून ने जो नुकात उठाए हैं वो दुरुस्त हैं, वैलिड है, लिहाजा मैं रूलिंग देता हूं कि अदम-ए-एतमाद की करारदाद आइन और कौमी मुख्तारी व आज़ादी से मुनाफी है और रूल्स और ज़ाब्ते के खिलाफ है। ये करारदाद में मुस्तरद डिसअलाउ करने की रूलिंग देता हूं। ईवान की कार्रवाई प्रोग की जाती है।
That was it. It took everybody by surprise. There was shock. And, if you look at the TV footage from yesterday that was coming in from Pakistan, you can see that all the MNAs went towards the Speaker's high table and there was a ruckus. And, people demanded to know how he had done this, and people said that he would be tried. The Speaker should be tried for treason. Opposition said Imran Khan should be tried for treason because there's an Article 6 immediately after 5 that says that whoever tries to subvert the Constitution by force or by any other means shall be tried for treason and, shall be punished accordingly. So people were shouting that this actually attracts Article 6. Imran Khan did not, by the way, attend the no confidence vote, which meant that he didn't care about the numbers really. Because if numbers counted, then he would have been present in the House if he thought it was so close that his presence was demanded in the House so that he could also cast his vote. He was not present. So it was clear that there was something afoot. And then within minutes of this prorogation of the assembly, Imran Khan went up, he addressed the nation. It was broadcast live. He congratulated the people of Pakistan for defeating this conspiracy against their country. And he said, now you have to prepare for the elections. And I have advised the president to dissolve the assemblies.
तो जो स्पीकर ने आज जो अपनी अथॉरिटी, अपनी जो पावर, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल पावर यूज करके जो फैसला किया है, अब इसके बाद मैंने अभी से प्रेसिडेंट साहब को वो भेज दिया है, एडवाइस भेज दी है कि असेंबलियां डिसॉल्व करें। एक डेमोक्रेटिक सोसाइटी में हम डेमोक्रेट्स अवाम के पास जाएं, अवाम से इलेक्शंस हों, अवाम फैसला करे कि वो किसको चाहती है।
So, although he said assemblies in the plural, only the National Assembly was dissolved. I don't think they have dissolved any of the other provincial assemblies. So this was the thing that took place. This was the drama that took place. It blindsided the opposition completely. They were taken completely by surprise. And of course, they immediately went to the Supreme Court of Pakistan. Of course, when the parties went yesterday to the Supreme Court, they had wanted an immediate stay on the dissolution of the assembly. The Supreme Court did not grant that. Instead, it said it will hear the petition quickly. And again, I think there is a hearing today. There was one urgent hearing yesterday and there is one today. So that is where it is in the Supreme Court of Pakistan. It is again another big constitutional question in front of the Supreme Court. They'll have to decide. They'll have to really apply their minds to this. And it's going to be no easy task for them because they want to be seen on the side of democratic procedure. And it's a very tricky interpretation here that Imran Khan has resorted to. On the face of it, it seems like a violation of the Constitution, but there can be interpretations and we'll have to see what the Supreme Court comes up with.
And one thing that Imran Khan even said in his address was that people should prepare for elections. Because according to the Constitution, once the assembly has been dissolved, elections need to take place in 90 days. Now, the Supreme Court will take a call on this whenever it does. But if elections are held, is it possible that Imran Khan could win them?
So, elections carry a lot of uncertainty. I don't think he wanted elections, not at this point, because he's not very prepared for elections. There is a lot of popular anger against him because of the mismanagement of the economy, the fact that, he promised big and delivered nothing. He promised very, very big. So there is some resentment against him, and a lot of people who had voted for him last time seem to have deserted him. I mean, he did not turn out to be this great silver bullet that they all had thought he would be. But, who knows? Because this whole conspiracy against a nation is a very emotive thing, and you don't know what chord it has touched and how people have taken to it. I'm not able to say that sitting here in India. I won't be able to say that, and I don't want to risk making a prediction on that. But I know what I can say to you, and what has to be remembered is that the last election, he didn't make a majority of his own, even after the army and the ISI worked overtime to help him. They wanted him to win the last election. So even after all that, he was not able to make a majority on his own. He had to form a coalition, and the army had lined up all the ducks and they came together to form a coalition government. So you can see how difficult it was for him to win the last time. So all I'm saying now is that it was not easy for him to win last time. And if that was the case last time, there's going to be some anti-incumbency attaching to him this time, even with all the foreign hand allegations, which may touch a chord among some people.
And in the end, we talk about the controversial religious leader Yati Narsinghanand. Last year in December, Narsinghanand and some other leaders had taken part in a 3-day religious event in Haridwar, where they had delivered multiple hate speeches directed at the Muslim community. This even included calls for a genocide and for Hindus to pick up arms. Sometime after that, Narsinghanand and some other leaders who had taken part in this event were arrested in the matter. But after a few weeks in custody, Narsinghanand was released on bail. And now, in another event that was held on Sunday in Delhi, Narsinghanand again delivered hate-filled speeches, targeted the Muslim community, and told Hindus to pick up arms. Indian Express's Abhinav Rajput, who reported on the event, tells us what happened. So, Abhinav, what was this event that Yati Narsinghanand was taking part in this time?
So this was a Hindu Mahapanchayat that was organized by Preet Singh, who is founder of Save India Foundation. And they were demanding uniform civil code, common education law, immigration control law, conversion control, freeing Hindu temple from government control. So these were 5 demands based on which this Hindu Mahapanchayat was done. And it was at a ground in Burari in Outer Delhi.
Also, what did he say during the event? And how similar or different was it from the hate speeches that he delivered in the controversial Haridwar event that was held in December?
So Yati Narsinghanand, as you know, the head priest of Dasna temple in Ghaziabad. The first time he was in news in recent past when he had written over his temple that Muslims are not allowed inside the temple. Then repeated hate speeches from him came in the public forum via different media organizations. And this time what he said was that only till 2029 India's PM will be Hindu, and if government tries hard, then maybe till 2039. This far you are from catastrophe, and once India's PM will be Muslim, then in next 20 years, 50% of you will change your religion. Means you will be forced to change your religion. So this was one of the thing which was a hate speech, and then he also gave a call to take arms to Hindus, that we should take up arms. So these were the things that was very controversial.
एक बार भारत का प्रधानमंत्री मुसलमान बना तो अगले 20 सालों में 50% तुम में से लोग अपना धर्म बदलेंगे, 40% हिंदुओं का कत्ल होगा, 10% हिंदू अपनी बहन बेटी मुसलमानों को देकर या तो रिफ्यूजी कैंपों में रहेंगे या विदेशों में रहेंगे। ये हिंदू का भविष्य है, और अगर इस भविष्य को बदलना चाहते हो तो मर्द बनो, मर्द बनो, मर्द बनो। और मर्द कौन होता है? जिसके हाथ में हथियार होता है वो मर्द होता है।
And there were other speakers also. They also said things which falls in the ambit of hate speech. As a reason, Delhi police have now registered an FIR.
And has action been taken against Yati Narsinghanand as well?
Yes, I think he has also been named in the FIR. And there are other people. The organizer of the event has Preet Singh. His name is also in the FIR.
And these people who participated in the event this time, a lot of them are controversial figures and have been involved in such communal events in the past as well, and have been booked by the police as well. So could you talk a bit about them?
So Preet Singh, who is founder of Save India Foundation, then there is one Pinky Chaudhary. These two people are the same people who were there in the Jantar Mantar incident held in August last year. There also 8 each of was raised, and then there was FIR. They were arrested. So these two people are on the bail. Then Yati, he is somebody who was in the Uttarakhand when there was a Dharm Sansad 3-day event. It was organized. He was there. Other people along with him were there. So there was an FIR against them in that incident. So there are similarities. These are the people you will hear constantly speaking in the same tone. The things that he has said in Delhi, most of them are not new things. They were said earlier also in Uttarakhand. They had been said earlier also through different media platforms, whether it is social media or news bites. So these things have come across earlier also. What was different this time in Delhi from other was last time we saw some BJP leaders were also there. When Jantar Mantar incident had happened, there was Ashwini Upadhyay, who was a BJP office bearer earlier, and now he is actively involved with BJP. And in Uttarakhand incident also he was there. A couple of more people were also there, if I am not wrong. But this time BJP had completely distanced itself from these groups. Because I cover BJP, I know the local leaders. I could not see any local BJP leaders in that rally. Now, politically speaking, there is a faction in this also, like team right or however you want to judge it. But slowly the BJP local unit, maybe they have been told to, but there is a deliberate attempt to keep distance from ultra right wing, at least in Delhi, I can tell you.
You were listening to Three Things by The Indian Express. Today's show was written and produced by me, Shashank Bhargava, and was edited and mixed by Suresh Pawar. If you like the show, then do subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. You can also recommend the show to someone you think will like it, share it with a friend or someone in your family. It's the best way for people to get to know about us. You can tweet us at Express Podcasts and write to us at podcasts@indianexpress.com.